Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video I'll be going through the second part of my tournament terrain build. And if you followed along with the first part, you will have seen the first stage of the build where I cut out the shapes for the main shells of all the terrain pieces, put them on the boards and cut out the windows as well. But in this video I'm going to go through how I do the battle damage for these and get them all ready so they look like I've seen some action. And I thought it'd be fun to do one of the tables as an old school orc version, so I'm going to theme it in the orc style, WARHAMMER style. So that's the plan. Let's go through the battle damage first, and the idea is to take these smooth foam pieces and rough them up a little bit. So I'll be using three simple tools to do that: a screwdriver with a flat head, a big pen and a pencil, and that's all there is to it. So first up, I take the screwdriver and I'm literally just tapping it around every edge of the model. I'm putting some little indentations in there, breaking it up so it looks like it's been demolished by all sorts of artillery shells, bullets. I'm putting little scratches in there so as big vehicles go past it, monsters, knights, all sorts, they're going to scratch their way through the building as they try to get to the infantry that will be taking cover inside. So basically go over every single edge like this and just letting the weight of the screwdriver do the damage really, and then putting a few scratches in there as if a vehicle's gone by the building. And I'm just going at it using every part of the screwdriver, the handle as well, to get some big dents in, and then just going in and putting some little indentations here and there. That's it for the screwdriver. Then I grab the pencil. It's a blunt pencil. I'm going to use this to mark out some bullet holes. So I'm just roughly dotting it in. I'm imagining the bullets going in like a strafing pattern across the window. So I'm looking for a diagonal pattern. And I'm putting some of these holes in a little bit deeper, using the pencil to chip away at the edges of the windows as well. Just roughing it up. Just imagining what damage the bullets would do when they hit it. And then once I've gone round all of the model, I take this big fat pen and I'm really bashing it in, putting some big holes in there for some of the larger rounds that have hit the building. So really punch it in there, do little groups of 2 or 3, and then I'm focusing on some areas where I think they might go in a little bit deeper. So just either twisting the pen in or just really slamming it until I make a hole that goes right through the foam. Looks pretty messy at the moment. I'm even using the back of the pen here just to get some dents in there, because once I put the paint on it won't be so obvious, and the paint will fill some of them in a little bit as well. So while it looks like a lot here, once we get the paint on there and then seal it with the garage floor paint that I'll be using later on, that'll cover up some of these so it won't be so obvious. And I followed that process for loads of these sets. I literally did this for about 5 hours today, so it was quite a tedious job to do so much. Doing one table's worth, no problem, but getting 6 or 7 of them done today took quite a while. So I was happy to move on to the next one, which is going to be the Ork Style, and this is going to be a real fun old school build. So let's go through how I started that and themed it a little bit more for this WARHAMMER desert style. So you can see I've gone for the same shells, but I've added some rocks here and there, and this one is going to be painted in a desert theme. I thought it'd be nice to get that orc logo on there as well, so I cut that out just using my penknife, and I copied the one from the Octarius terrain. And you could print this off, I suppose, on paper, cut out a template, but I just did it freehand and then used that one to cut out the second piece, because I'll have 2 sections of terrain that will have this on here. And here's my Spyderco knife that I really like using for projects like this. It's a really great knife. It comes in so handy and I can highly recommend it. There's a link down below if you'd like to get one yourself. And then I'll just follow all these pieces, cut it all out, and then that's going to be stuck on, and it'll be a nice relief over the front of this chunky piece of terrain to really break it up and make a fun theme for one of the tables. This insulation board that I'm using is 6mm, and it's perfect for stuff like this. Really good stuff. It's quite robust, and when I put the garage floor paint over it, it seals it and makes it even stronger. So I find it doesn't chip off all that easily either. So it's quite robust once it's all built. Now I'm cutting out the eye there, again, just using my knife, taking my time. You could use a craft knife, I suppose. And then I'm going to use the same fat pencil and just start working that in. Just going in a little bit at first and then gradually going deeper and deeper until I can pick it up and then twist the pen all the way through without breaking the piece of foam if you're careful. So just take your time, work that through. You could get a little cookie cutter like I use for the windows if you've got one small enough. But I just found this pen was the perfect size. And there it is, we've got our orc logo now, got the horns as well, and all I'm going to use is a little bit of the hot glue and just put some of that on the back of it, and then we can stick that onto the piece. Again, all of this Ork set is going to be painted in a desert colour, so it's going to look like desert buildings, and in a moment I'll do all the little wooden trim around the top of these, which will act like some kind of barricades, but this will be one of the features that I think will really stand out. I might paint this Ork emblem like a little red colour, which will match some of the roofs and the woodwork and some of the metalwork that you'll see dotted across the model as well. There we go, so we'll have 2 of these pieces on the table, and then there'll be another 10 pieces of terrain. And with this one, I've roughed it up a little bit different to all the others. I just went around the edges and just bashed them up with that screwdriver. But I haven't put bullet holes in this one. I really want to go with like a desert fort theme that hasn't been shot at yet. So it's going to look quite fresh, but very orky, with lots of scraps and all these wooden spikes going across the top as a kind of fence around each of the buildings. And to do that, I just used some lollipop sticks, and then I've trimmed them down so I get 1 lollipop stick. I cut that into 4 pieces, and then each of those 4 pieces I'll just trim off with the spike. You could use a good pair of scissors for this if you wanted to. It's a lot quicker than the clippers I found. I did all these with the clippers though, but yeah, a good pair of strong scissors will do the job a lot quicker. I'm using the lollipop sticks just to make some planks as well, and I just use something like this or the back of a knife just to scratch through it and give some texture, so when it's painted then we can get some recesses in there for the washes. And I've got some coffee stirrers which we'll be using on the windows, and I'm just going to measure them up, and I'll put 1 on each side of the window and then a chunkier piece at the top and the bottom. I've also got some of this metallic corrugated paper. This stuff's awesome, and it's going to work really nicely for little sheets of metal that have either fallen off the roof or the building or are just lying around. And nice and thin, just cut it with the scissors, dead easy. I'll put some links down to Amazon in the description below if you want to pick any of these things up. And this stuff is awesome. This is rodent mesh that you'd put over air ducts. But I got this for my zombie game where I'll be making some fences. But it's going to be great, again, just to use a good pair of scissors and just snip this along. And then you can put that as little sheets dotted around all over the models. So just a little piece will do. It's just going to add some texture. It's going to break up the flat areas. And then for the window, now I found out the scissors works really well. I just use that to cut up the lollipop sticks. Just bash them up, round them off with the knife a little bit, and then I'll use those as little frames for the windows. I also want some random planks dotted around, so I get the coffee stirrers, try and snap them at angles to get some texture in there, and I'll just glue those onto the floor. But let's put those spikes on first. These are all the wooden spikes that are going to go around the top of each of the building and each level. And so a layer of hot glue, and I just start sticking all of these on, keeping them flat on the bottom, so they all line up on the bottom, but then hopefully they'll all be higgledy-piggledy in different lengths as we go along the top, just to break it up and make it look proper orky. It's definitely looking old school at the moment. Once it's painted though, I think it's really going to make it look different. Seeing it black with the wood on the top looks a bit weird, but when you imagine it in a nice sandy beige colour with the wood as well, I think it's going to look really fun. I can't wait to see it built on the table. It'll be one of the fun ones to play on for sure, but because it's built in the same way as all the other shells, it's going to function exactly as the other sets do for the new edition of Warhammer 40,000. So the function's going to be there, but it's also going to be a little bit of fun and look a little bit different. Now I'm just putting some little bits of scatter around, putting the glue down, and I do something really stupid here. I put the glue down, the hot glue on it, and then I put this mesh on, but I push it down my finger. Of course there's holes, so the glue came through and burnt my fingers, which was really dumb. So yeah, be careful if you do that. And then I get this foil, I rough it up a little bit so it looks like it's been bashed. We don't want it too pristine. And then I'm just going to glue little pieces of that on as well. So I cut it in half, a little bit of glue on the back. And then later on I found that this backing paper actually comes off, so I had to glue it down again. I'll show you that in a second. But there we go, we just pop that down. And once that's covered with sand as well, it's going to poke through. We'll paint it so it looks all rusty, and I think that'll be really fun. And just for a simple bit of paper, it'll have a really nice effect. There you can see that white backing paper just comes off, so you can just glue it straight on like that. I'll put a little bit leaning against the building there. Why not give it some vertical sheets too? And then there it is. That's the piece done. This stage is now finished, and the next stage is to put lots of PVA on the base and some on the walls. I'll add lots of sand, bits of gravel. I'll add some extra pieces of rubble as well, just to break it up and give it some nice textures. And I've been careful when putting these wooden pieces on so that the models can get the guns over the top as well. The sizes are all wide enough on the levels for the bases for some pretty large models to fit if you wanted to. And you can even put one inside the little building and one on 2 or 3 on the top as well. There we go then, that's where I'm at the moment. There's still lots to do. Got to do all the basing for these. I've got to finish off this set, and so I'll bring part 3 very soon. Big thanks to my sponsors and supporters for helping me keep going with these daily videos and keep these regular updates coming. And it'd be awesome if you come and join me for part 3 of this tournament terrain build, where I'll be going through all the basing materials I use. I've got some real cool stuff from the pet store that's really going to help with some of these, and then you can start seeing them almost finished then, because once I've got all the basing done, then it'll be time to get them painted up. So really looking forward to that. If you'd like to see part 1 of this tournament terrain build, then I'll link to it at the end of this video if you haven't seen it already. But that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you liked the video. If you did, it'd be great if you hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like this one, and I look forward to seeing you next time here on Tabletop Skirmish Games. Thank you so much to my Patreon supporters for helping me to keep going with these regular videos. I couldn't do this without you, and I appreciate your support so much. If you'd like to join the Patreon community, support the channel, get some great perks at the same time, there's a link down below in the description. It'll be awesome to see you there.